Hello and welcome to Conscious Living, helping you to navigate in times of change. Before we start, I want to read a disclaimer that this presentation is provided for and on behalf of the Conscious Living Foundation. It is private information and it is for educational purposes only and does not constitute legal, medical, or financial advice. My name is Rolf. I'm a coach and mentor for transformational processes, and I live at Redland Bay here in Queensland on Terra Australis. I'm a husband, father, and grandfather, and for more than 30 years I have been inquiring into the following questions: who am I? Why am I here? And how can I find lasting peace and happiness? My vision is to support people to grow into conscious beings, and my mission is to assist people locally and worldwide to live a life of self-determination, creativity, and fulfillment. So, three pressing questions I find, especially during these times. First one is, well, where are we actually? What's the problem? What's our global, collective, and also individual problem? So we have a look at that, and then providing some solutions. What can we really do about it? Where can we find remedies? And important too, I find, is where do we really want to go? What's our vision, individually again, and also collectively? So, and how can we gain more clarity in today's confusing and chaotic times? And how can we live a self-determined, free and fulfilled life? And also, how can we transform our view of ourselves and our view of the world? I like that saying here: change is never painful, only the resistance to change is. So we have to ask ourselves, are we resisting change or what's going on? So let's have a look at the first questions. Where are we these days? What is the problem, or what seems to be the problem? Well, we are in a global of crisis, conflict, chaos, and confusion. Systems are broken. They're clearly broken, not because they're broken, but they're built and designed this way to break down after a period of time. That's a natural cycle. A continuous loss of values in our Western society due to an atheistic and materialistic view of the world and of ourselves is the main cause for worldwide tension and breakdowns. And this has led to psychological and social disorders and is also manifesting in various diseases. The consequences of this degeneration process are a clearly visible loss of meaning and an impoverishment of many people in connection with fears for the future, especially these days after the last 2 years. So what we need more than ever is a reorientation of all our values and ideals and a deep understanding of our true nature as human beings, or I should say living beings. And we need to also understand the working of the system. So let's get into it a little bit more deeply. Natural order, natural divine order, the way we have been created is we have been created as free people connected to the future, and it's clearly visible, or it used to be clearly visible, not anymore, with strong united family tribes. That's how it's supposed to be. But it seems like we have an invisible control system, and these days I would call it a technocratic system of rule and control, and it's invisible. But we can see the results everywhere, worldwide, right now. This hierarchical ruling and control system, we are unfortunately the slaves, the debt and wage slaves of that system. Their goal is to divide and conquer, again, clearly visible in the last 2 years, and they want to isolate people. And through this isolation, we have moved as a society from extended families through social restrictions to core families and more into individualism, where we see more and more single parents these days. So something is clearly not working naturally anymore. And if we look at the matrix of this control system, or the matrix of lies, I would call it, it's based on lies, deception, fear-mongering, and alarmism. And it's based on, norms for society, accepted behavior. We have an educational programming system. We are bound to acts and statutes. Fear is ruling our lives. We have taboos, rules, bans, mandates. Especially these days, we feel the economic pressure, all based on limited beliefs, which is for me the real meaning of corruption. It's limited beliefs. Constant alarmism, punishments, violence, traumas, lies, and we have a lack of real knowledge. We are misinformed, distracted. And we cannot really believe the mass media and also not the alternative media. We have to make up our own minds. Material lack is another part of this system. The means of manipulating society are twofold. One is the structural manipulation with networking of international NGOs and private banks, lodges, think tanks, like the Club of Rome, Tavistock Institute, World Economic Forum, World Health Organization, United Nations, and so forth. And we have a non-structural manipulation with creating of informational fields or public opinions or narratives. And according to these narratives and public opinions, people form their worldview and their behavior and their actions. So they're manipulating our behavior through informational process and through targeted distribution of false information. Scientific fraud, actually, what I would call it too. Now let's have a look at the hierarchical deep state structures. On the top, we have the elites, and no one really knows who they are, or maybe we do. A handful of families, they're not really clearly visible. Underneath, we have deep state or shadow government, consisting of secret societies and lodges, central banks, national banks, Bank of International Settlements, then the other big banks, lobbyists, and the big corporations. That's a hierarchy of networks. And on the very bottom, we have the illusion of a democratic nations with nation states and their governments, I should say corporate governments, service corporations, media and health system and their educational system. And we, the people, are simply blindly following everything that is being told. Now, that's our problem. And we have always gone through technical innovation cycles, 1780 to 1830, steam engines and trains and steel, electricity, chemistry, big banking, and so forth. And these days, what we facing is a repair medicine, industrialized society, the rule of machines, rational thinking, and actually we are at a materialistic dead end. Scientists claim they know everything. We've worked it all out. Just trust us and just believe what we tell you. So we are at a crossroads today, individually as well as collectively. We can either walk down the road of further engaging in that materialistic atheism on the age of totalitarianism. And a few keywords here is one world order, transhumanism, artificial intelligence, biological degeneration, corporate control, gene technology, nanotechnology, technocracy, cashless society, population control. We can continue to walk that way, or we can move towards a self-realized age of awakening. It depends on us and each and every one of us, where we look at meta health, benevolent innovations, integral spirituality, holistic lifestyles, truth education, sustainability, free energy, self-determination, and freedom of each and every living being. The choice is ours. The problem we're facing, again, here's the problem. We are individually as well as collectively traumatized, and we don't even really know it. Most of us still feeling too comfortable, They don't realize that we have manipulated and lied to, have been manipulated and lied to. And we are entangled in a system as wage and debt slaves, whether you realize it or not. The solution would be to start off as inner work, deep inner work, facing our own shadows and triggers, learning to ask questions, question everything you hear and see, and learning to recognize manipulation and lies, and also engage in discovering innovative solutions, building supportive communities, and supporting what I would call the Great Awakening, not the Great Reset. So the only way out is inwards, facing our own being. Our own being, our perception of reality is based on our self-views, our concepts and beliefs, which then shapes our worldviews through our perceptual filters and conditioning, and our inner views with our morals and values. So that's what I call deep inner work. So let's have a look at the second step here. So what can we do? What could be a solution? The basic questions to dive into that is asking oneself constantly, who am I and why am I here? That automatically leads to what I would call an external awakening and an internal awakening. External awakening, that we need to come to understand the difference between a person and a living man or a woman. And I'll get a little bit further into that. So who are we? A person or a man or a woman? And an internal awakening, the same. Who are we? Are we the body and our mind? Or are we aware presence? So let's have a look at it a little bit more deeply. So the external awakening gives you a whole range of information you can take in. And an internal awakening then gives you the stability. So I have created a map or a guideline for conscious living. So it's a deep dive into a threefold path. I call it the journey of self-inquiry. So the first path is uncovering the truth. It's a mental journey. It's about the mind, and the mind consists of thinking and imagining, and it forms our self-view. And here we dive deep into the question, what is the nature of being and why am I here? And with my web, I want to shine the light of awareness on our challenge of victimhood. That's one of the basic shadow aspects. And undoing the belief that we are powerless victims of a heartless system. So here I want you to understand that we can move from feeling powerless to freedom, which is our inheritance. We are inherently free. The second part of this journey is called recovering the love. It's an emotional journey. And what we do know about the body is sensing and feeling, which shapes our inner view. And here we dive into the questions, what is the nature of happiness really? And how can we find lasting peace and happiness? So here we shine the light of awareness on our suffering, which is based on a sense of fragmentation and undoing the belief in separation. And that is experienced as a sense of lack, always lacking something, and inadequacy. Oh, I'm not good enough. So here we're moving from fear to love. The third part is what I call discovering beauty again. Once the lens of our perceptual views is cleansed, we can see the beauty in the world again, change our view of the world. So what we know of the world is made up of perception, or the dynamic of perceiving. And here we can ask, what is the nature of awareness really? And who am I? So we go deeper down and shine the light of awareness on our dilemma of forgetting. We've forgotten who we truly are. So therefore, we need to undo the belief that we are born in a world of matter and that we share the limits and the destiny of the body and the mind. It's the movement from atheistic materialism to the I amness, or aware presence, which is our essence. Here's the threefold path I've created a map. So it's consisting of recognizing our shadows and reactive patterns, and collectively I have worked out that we stuck on those three shadows of victimhood, separation, and forgetting. It's our challenge, our suffering, and our dilemma. Victimhood is I and the system of control, the relationship between me and the system. Separation is I and the other. And the forgetting is I in relation to the world of matter. So the path of uncovering the truth is the mental path, and here it's about an external awakening where we look at different and wider and broader information, not just what we have been fed through mass media or alternative media. So here I'm exploring the questions of what is your role in the matrix of control? And what is this system of control manipulation really? How did we get here? And how can we get out? We learn to ask questions. I have a whole heap of a list of questions where we can dive into. What are the forms and levels of manipulation? We have a look at systems of manipulation and control, especially at the money system, the economy, governments, what they really are, the media, health, what is our health system really, and energy. We have a look at energies. How can we unmask the lies of the matrix? How can we look at the limiting and manipulating factors? And then also I have contemplations, strategies, and solutions. And in order to claim our true power again. The second module, the second part, is the path of recovering our love. It's about the body, the deep dive into our internal awakening, which provides us with a sense of stability. Here we have a look at the otherness, which is the source of fear and suffering. And we ask the question, what is our shared reality really? People talk about oneness, but what does it really mean? Recognizing the subtle reinforcements of separation. We have a look at the dynamics of our suffering, how to embody aware presence, recognizing reactive patterns. I want to make you familiar with the art of contemplation and what is an inner view, what is the essence of your body. And again, we look at contemplations, strategies, and solutions. Module 3, the path of discovering the beauty. It's about the world, about your internal awakening, again, providing a sense of stability. And we're exploring what do we really know about the mind, the body, and the world. What is the world of matter really made of? And what is consciousness? What is the difference between the knower and the known? And do we share the limits and destiny of the body and the mind? And are we really born into a pre-existing universe? What is time and space? We have a look at levels of perceptions, and there are 3 steps of self-realizations. We have a look at that. So what is the essence of your experience? And again, contemplations, strategies, and solutions. And I'm offering individual sessions as well as a group online coaching program and a self-study program, which you can all find on our website. So where do we want to go as a collective, as a society, and individually? What is our vision? I think we do need a vision these days. Otherwise, we just stumble around in the dark. What's happening at the moment, I would call it's really a spiritual training. It's our training ground to wake up, to grow up, to show up, and to clean up. In the past, we had what I would call agricultural societies or biological civilization. Everything was more based on, nature and extended families, what I've shown you before. Then it seems like we have fallen into a deep sleep of forgetfulness. And we are faced with today with the technocratic civilization. It's all about corporate control. It's about information age, the digital financial complex. And really, if you look at it, it's a satanic death cult. So if we want to change something, if we and help this as a vision, we need to awaken. We need to wake up from our forgetfulness. And we can move, and we will move collectively towards a cosmo-biological civilization as a conscious society and sovereign men and women and integral spiritual culture. So this shift in consciousness means that we need to return from this slavery system back into freedom and creative and divine order, moving away from lies and manipulation towards the truth, away from meaninglessness and chaos towards sense and meaning again, to the artificial intelligence, technocracy, artificial world, towards a humane and natural world, including technological advancements, of course. Moving away from a one-dimensional worldview towards a multi-dimensional worldview. And we need to realize how we can stop those energy parasites, but we can have natural flow and high vibrational energies again. So this shift in consciousness, moving away from playing out our roles, as persons and ego, into being authentic as men and women, realizing self-realization, that's what it means. Away from corporate and maritime law towards common law and maxims of equity. From fear frequency towards love frequency, love and compassion. Out of lack and slave mentality towards a creativity mentality. From linear thinking, rationality towards holistic thinking and cooperation. Away from consumerism and victimhood towards creative impulses and sovereign integrity. From lack and hopelessness towards prosperity and mutual benefits. Stopping the fights for human rights and following our creative impulses and duties. Instead of controlled by others, we need to learn to self-regulate and take self-responsibilities. Very important one. Away from traumatization and sickness towards healing and holistic health. Away from violence, pressure, and coercion towards free will sovereignty, which is part of our being. Away from manipulation and programming towards truth education. There's a lot to do in the future, a lot of healing to be done. Away from the belief in a sense of separation and division towards a oneness and what is our shared realities. And we're out of bondage and dependencies into freedom and independence, and actually interdependence. So the great resignation is upon us. It is predicted that more than 20% of the worldwide workforce is leaving the matrix and moving into the soul work. They're sick of the system. They want to do and follow their passion. They want to do what they love doing. Moving into uncertainties, of course, but also it's deeply soul fulfilling. So you're about to see an abundance of people around you wake up to the fact that they are here to support humanity through this major shift in consciousness. We're all part of it. And they get to make up their own rules. And that is the revolution of the human spirit. And I'm excited. We need to go to peace. We need to stop going to war and fight the system, fight anything we don't like. We need to go to peace within ourselves and amongst others and in the world. We need to step into our own free will sovereignty. We can have a look to set up our own private estate structures as stewards, not owners. We can become member of a private society which can provide sanctuary protections and immunities. We go into that in my webinars a little bit deeper as well. We need to correct our status away from the slave mentality into free, sovereign living beings. Physical, mental, and emotional healing and support is needed a lot in the coming years, a lot. Truth education and inner work will be the main topic of next years. We can join mutual benefit societies, non-hierarchical mutual benefit societies, where everyone is seen as a sovereign individual living being. We all need to learn to follow our creative impulses and live our life's work. And we can build a prosperous society and eventually away from money. We don't need money, but it's a long way ahead. We need to have steps in between. And the current money system, which is based on debt anyway, will break down. There will be something different. We want to move individually and collectively towards peace and sovereign integrity. So, as I said before, I am offering individual coaching, mentoring sessions, private online coaching program, self-study program, and regular free webinars. You can go on my website, which is down the bottom here, rolfgarnett.com. So thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you in one of my online coaching programs, or in any other shape or form, or in my free webinars. So thank you for listening for now, and be now here. Thank you.